Hi, this is On Imagination with the Healing Garden, and we're going to go ahead and break down logic for you. This is how you do shadow work the way. So your entire logical comprehension, your entire existence, everything is based off of three things. You and your dilithium, and your relativity to truth. In addition to that, you're going to use logic as a metric to determine where exactly and how far away from truth you actually are. And the better your logic skills, the easier this is going to be for you. Your pain is 100% in ratio to your truth. So if you have any kind of pain, if you have any kind of problems, anything, anxiety, that is in relative to how far away from the truth you are. There it is. So you have your truth and you have you. And if you are facing the wrong way, you're going to have cognitive dissonance and you are going to be in a lot of fucking pain. If you are facing the truth and you are measuring on the point of relativity to truth, you're going to have a lot less pain. And the closer you get logically to your truth, to the truth, the better you're going to feel. So the progression of you facing truth, and you have to face it, you have to be facing the right way. If you are not facing it if you are facing the wrong way, you are disintegrating. It means that you are aligned to the wrong point of comprehension. So there's 2 points of comprehension. There is a wrong one, and there is the one. The one is truth. And there are only about 8 billion bullshit false comprehensions on the other side. So you got to make sure that you're facing truth and not one of the 8 billion bullshits. So once you understand where exactly the truth is using logic, you're going to want to make sure that you're pointing the right way. If you're facing away from truth, you're going to disintegrate. If you are facing toward truth, you're going to integrate. If you have multiple personality disorder, you are facing the wrong way because you have disintegrated so much that you now have multiple personality disorder. How many alters is going to determine how much you have disintegrated the self, which means you need to start using logic to find yourself the truth and get yourself there. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've purified truth, and I have used pure logic to purify truth. So the more you listen to me, the more you're going to figure this out. Don't take my word for it. Use logic and figure it out yourself. And you're going to find out how much aligned it is with me. The people in my circle have figured this out, and they're facing me because they're coming toward me, and they learned that the more they listen to my words, which is pure logic, the closer they get to the truth. So I'm the spokesperson for truth. In addition to that, once you are facing the right way toward truth and you start integrating, you're going to want the 12 ethics. Now, the 12 ethics is actually the philosopher's compass. The philosopher's compass is the triangulation you're going to need to locate yourself so you know who you are. When you are facing truth and using the 12 ethics, this is going to get so much easier for you. The 12 ethics is literally the stepping stones from where you are to the truth. It's the path. The more you use the 12 ethics, the closer you're going to get to truth. Study logic. Logic is going to be sharpened. Just read the book Sophie's World. That'll take care of that for you. Read the book Sophie's World, study the 12 ethics, and then point it to your truth. Then you'll start integrating. As you start making your way towards truth, you're going to have to start weeding out all the crap that is logical fallacy inside of you. A lie is a logical fallacy. The truth is logic. That's it. Now, human beings have a really hard time understanding equilibrium, and they are very fucking confused because they're lying, or they've been lied to, and they are contaminated with lies. When you get contaminated with lies, you end up with consumption. So either you have consumption or you don't. If you're on that side of the mirror, you've got consumption. If you have pain in your life, you have consumption. If you have fear, you have consumption. You don't want consumption. It consumes you from the inside out, and that is disintegration. So the closer you are to truth, the less consumption you have, and truth is pure love, which is pure logic, which is pure words. So if you're using the wrong words, you're fucked. Start studying linguistics. When you start studying linguistics, you start purifying your logic. Now, here is what you need to know. Your entire logical comprehension is literally a knitted blanket. Yes, for me, it is literal. For you, it's going to be metaphorical. It's a blanket. And every lie is a dropped stitch. If you do not knit, I cannot help you. Ask somebody who knits. So either you have a stitch or you have a dropped stitch. A stitch is logical truth. A dropped stitch is a lie. 100% of all biology and all of life is a composition and summation of how well you can knit. If you suck at knitting, telling the truth, you're going to have more dropped stitch with placeholders in your knitting than actual blanket. That's what's wrong with the world today. So when you are healing, which is material playing world for correcting your logical blanket, knitting your logical code, you're basically correcting all your dropped stitches, and you are replacing your dropped stitches with actual corrected knitting. But if you have a lot of dropped stitches and lies, your blanket's going to frog and unravel. So that's what's going on, is your life is unraveling. Now, as the truth, which is pure love, which is force and the planet, comes swooshing out in great waves, which is what's happening, it's going to literally rip apart and frog all of the bullshit lies. And only the truth is going to withstand this force, because I say so, because it's logical, because that's physics, because you don't fuck with physics, because there's an equilibrium in a karma bank. So this massive love force, which is truth, is literally ripping apart all of the illogical fucking crap, which is why the whole thing is collapsing. It's because somebody lied way too much, one too many times. So now the entire fabric of reality is collapsing, because reality is actually a lie itself, because reality is everything. Reality includes the abstract and imagination. So instead of integrating it, it got disintegrated, and now it's going, no, we got to, it's literally like a rubber band. It's exactly like a rubber band. So somebody decided to take the rubber band and just stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, representing the abstract from the material. And the abstract's going, no, you can't do that. We got to be integrated. So it's coming back together. So this massive equilibrium karma is coming back together, and the material is literally at its breaking point of, no, we're coming back together. Now that the abstract is coming back, which is pure love, pure truth, and pure logic, it's breaking all the lies that the material plane has built. Material plane is in for a real fucking wake-up call, but that's their problem. So, how to ravel and fix your blanket. When you feel self-preservation, which is anger, your emotions are going to spike. You need to pay attention to when you have a spike in self-preservation, protection, or anger. This is called defense. When you feel defensive, you need to become consciously aware of this, because that is your X marks the spot. When you notice, oh, I'm getting really prickly about this. Oh, I'm getting angry. Oh, I'm getting defensive. Oh, I'm getting self-preservation. There's your X. So now you want to step into that X. I mean, literally get right into it. You're going to use questions to do this. So questions are going to become how you unravel this shit. You got to ask the question, why am I so pissed off about X? And there it is. Why is X making me feel Y? There you go. That's the question. When you ask that, your subconscious mind is going to answer the question for you, because your subconscious mind is highly logical. And you just keep asking the subconscious mind the same question over. But why is this making me feel X? Why is this? Eventually, you're going to trail it back all the way to your childhood, when your mommy and your daddy were assholes to you. And that's where you got to go. The moment when mommy and daddy were assholes to you. So that's what you're looking for. Now, At some point, you might find some other asshole being an asshole to you. And the question is going to then come up, well, where the fuck were my mom and dad? Because again, your mom and dad were assholes to you. So if you get stuck along the way with something a teacher did or something a doctor, no, keep going back. Distraction. You got to go back to mommy and daddy, because either mommy and daddy did not protect you, mommy and daddy failed you, because those are the parent, because that's the logical code. So your logical code came from your mom and dad. That is what you need to address, because that's what you're fixing here. You're not fixing some asshole you decided to marry when you were 30. Get off it, because that's not the point. That's a red herring. You got to go back to your logical code, which is the catalyst, which is mommy and daddy, because they are your parents. Your parent is the integration or the pre-integration of you. Deal with it. So what the fuck did your mommy and daddy do to you way the back when? That's where you're going. When you're down to your mom and dad, that's when you've got the right answers. So either your mom and your dad did not protect you, or your mom and your dad did harm you directly. Figure that out. When you use the why is X making me feel Y, you get your right to that point. And here's what you need to do. Basically, your identity became a part of that. That's what it is you integrated your identity with that moment. And that's the problem. Whatever happened to you, your identity became that code. You got to undo it. To undo it, you need to correct the code. This is all you're going to do is logically correct the code. So to logically correct the code, you are going to figure out how your identity, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be self-preservation. It's self-preservation. That your self-preservation, your subconscious mind, confused X with identity. And what happened was, whatever happened to you, your subconscious mind went, oh, I cannot have identity and X. So you chose X. You threw away identity. When that happened, that severed your identity from everything else because you had to choose. So self-preservation had to choose, or your subconscious mind had to choose between safety or the self. Now, that is at the core of everything. When you get to this point, you're going to require logical reasoning and deduction, which is why when we get to this point, we do a lot of talking. Talking is how you're going to do this. You're going to require logical reasoning and deduction to analyze the truth. Now, at the time, you did not have the ability to do this. Now you do. You're going to use logic to find the truth. And this is where you had to choose between belonging, acceptance, safety, life, versus self. Now, here's the problem. Yourself is pure love. Yourself is pure love. So if you chose belonging, acceptance, safety, and living, you rejected love, which is why you feel unloved. That's why you feel unloved. Is because you rejected your own self, because the self is pure love. So once you work out the logical code of that little number right there, that is going to waterfall effect everything thereafter, and it's going to correct the logical code. Now, when it corrects the logical code, this is what's going to happen. You are going, because you've purified the code, it's going to shift your relativity of comprehension over to the truth. When that happens, it's going to be disorienting. It is literally going to be very disorienting for you. 3 days. If it happened today, then the entire day is self-care. Next day is self-care. If it happens at 9 a.m., self-care the rest of the day and all day the next day. So it's 24 hours plus the remainder of the day, because it's going to take you that long to stop being disoriented. Grieve the loss. You're going to have to grieve the loss because you are shifting your perspective. And that's literally what you're doing, is you are taking your perspective scope and you're literally adjusting it it's a lot. You should not be moving your perspective scope more than 1% of a degree. But on something like this, you're moving at like 15 to 50%. It's a big fucking shift. Sometimes you're moving at an entire 180 degrees. That's when you turn around and you face the logic and you go, oh, so grieve. 3 days. 3 days total before you are oriented again. In addition to that, you are going to want to isolate yourself because you are going to be logically vulnerable. Logically vulnerable is a big fucking deal. It's equivalent to when you do this, you are literally removing a thorn from your subconscious mind, leaving the wound open. So now you are vulnerable. If you're around a narcissist, you're going to get an infection. We call that consumption. So you're going to want to isolate yourself and stay away from all logical contaminants called lies. A lie is a logical contaminant. Okay? The more you study logic, the more this is going to be easier for you. So the more you study logic, the more you're going to be able to avoid the logical contaminants, the more you're going to be able to protect yourself from it, the more you're going to be able to purify the lies out of your logical code. The more logical code you have, the more aligned to the truth you're going to get. So the whole thing is literally realigning you back to the truth, getting you back so that you can measure yourself in relativity to how far away from the truth you are, so you know exactly where you are. This is called triangulation and orientation. Now you're going to know who you are because you have recovered the self, you have defined the self, and the self is pure love, and now it's love in relativity to truth. Isn't that fucking beautiful? It is love in relativity to truth by logic. Now, here's the gorgeous thing. Imagine a movie called Iron Giant where, spoiler alert, the giant gets blown up at the end. And he's got this awesome radar that goes boop, 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 boop. And while that's going on, all of the pieces of the Iron Giant, spoiler alert, come rolling back to the center point to reintegrate. Well, guess what? That's what you're doing. So the more love you have, the more logic you have, the more self you have, the more you are coming back to the center point of comprehension, which is where truth is, love is, logic is, and that's where you are integrated into a whole. That's when you become a god. It's really fucking cool. So that's where you're going. But the more lie you have virally infected inside of you, the further away from love you are. Yeah, the further away from love you are, the further away from truth you are. Now, there's a whole lot of fucking assholes out there who don't want this because they are using you as an emotional prosthetic. So they're going to want you to stay broken and at their disposal. So, and like I said, you're going to be, once you study logic, you're going to be able to find those people very easily. The Radical Global Healing Plan, that's all we do. Like this is the entire process. So when you are, I think that's it. That's it really, is you are literally going through and you are repeating this process of where does it not feel good? Where does your self-preservation, your anger, and your protection come in? It's literally self-love. Your self-preservation is a piece of your self-love going, what the fuck did they do to me? They broke off a piece of my love and it's over there. And it's the desire to reunite with that love. But in order to do that, you've got to get down to the core logic of what they did in your logic to separate that. And they did it. I'm going to tell you right now, they did it using love. They false loved. They literally lied about love. And you got to sort out the lie about love. And that's it. That's all of it. You've got to sort out love from not love. Well, that's it, really. You got to sort out A from not A. Well, there you go. Dichotomy of good and evil. That's what you're doing. You are literally, so purifying your logic is literally just you removing love. And that's it. You were told that love was X. And then when you looked at it, you go, oh, no, that wasn't love at all. And that's what you got to deal with, is you have to redefine what love is, which is why you got to go back to mommy and daddy. Because if mommy and daddy had loved you, you never would have fallen off the path to begin with, which means mommy and daddy didn't love you. What they did was love you based off of the wrong point of comprehension, which wasn't love. So they didn't know what love was either. So you got some bad role models trying to teach you something they know nothing about. They might care about you, but they don't love you. Not yet, because they don't know what that is. Neither do you. Not until you get over here. Once you get over here, you go, oh, that's love. Oh, I didn't know what love was. Yeah, that's a process. And then you're like, oh, I had no fucking idea what love was. No wonder why everything is fucked up over there. Yeah, that is loveless land. It's a really fucking hardcore truth that no one wants to hear, but it's true. That's loveless land. That's why you're on the wrong side of the mirror. Linguistics, look up every fucking word, because words are logic, which are love. Yeah, there you go. And if you get stuck, ask questions. Questions always, but you got Douglas Adams, you got to ask the right question. You got to ask the right question. Ask the right question. And literally, like, what is the right question? That is the right question to ask. If you think I have the wrong question, then that question will get you there. Manifest the questions. Manifest the right questions. Manifestation is physics. I teach it in my physics class. Yeah, I teach it in my manifestation class. So manifestation is absolutely physics, but you got to ask the right questions, because you're using logical spell work, logical code, same thing, to disintegrate the manifestation. But most people, if you don't have linguistics and logic, you are most likely disintegrating manifestation instead of integrating it. And you got to make sure it's the right, you got to make sure you're in the right area in order to do that. Okay, I'm going to go think about things now and just break it all down. But thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.